Namaste Bitya, Khush Raho Bitya. Myself Dr. Aarti Bansal, Associate Professor, Department of Pathology, Faculty of Homeopathic Sciences, Jyoti Vidyapith Women's University. Our today's topic is Antamoeba histolytica. As you all know about the histolytica, it is causing the amoebiasis, also called the amoebic dysentery. The causative agent of amoebic dysentery is Entamoeba histolytica, which is well recognized as a pathogenic amoeba. History is Lush was the first described in 1875. Geographical distribution, it is worldwide with higher incidence of amoebiasis in developing countries. In industrialized countries, risk group include the male homosexuals, travelers, recent immigrants, and institutionalized population. That's why it is also called the traveler's diarrhea. If we will talk about the morphology of Entamoeba histolytica, it remains in different form. There are mainly two form, trophozoite form and cystic form. But there is an intermediate form also, which is also called the precystic form. This trophozoite form is infective stage of Entamoeba histolytica. Trophozoite form is in size 12 to 16 micrometer in diameter, and it is invasive form containing the RBCs. It forms the pseudopodia for motility. There is an ectoplasm and endoplasm in Entamoeba histolytica, and there can be a nucleoplasm also. You can see the non-invasive form of the trophozoite and invasive form of the trophozoite. Magna. This is a magna and this is a minuta. These are all the different forms. This is the cystic form of the Entamoeba histolytica. Now we will talk about the life cycle of Entamoeba histolytica. This is not a huge one and complex one. There is just only the two forms. There is no intermediate host required. Only human is the only host for that. And the cystic form remains in the soil, water, and contaminated feces also. It remains in environment. The trophozoite form is an infective one. The mature cyst, when ingested, there is an excistation occurs and the trophozoites release in the intestine. It remains in the small intestine, and these trophozoites causes the intestinal disease through which opposite cyclic AMP will be activated and all the electrolyte come outside and causing the dysentery. The lymph of the intestine is drained through the portal circulation, and it can go and make the secondaries in the liver, in the pulmonary area, and sometimes rarely it can form the abscess in the brain also. But the liver abscess is very common, and these trophozoites form these cyst in the colon and again releases into the feces. These remain in the feces or remain in soil, water, and through the contaminated food, again it is ingested if by the healthy human being, again causing the infection. Thus the cycle goes repeatedly. So once again, we will just review this cycle. Cyst infection by the fecal-oral route. The ingested mature cyst via the contaminated food and water without infection by ingested the trophozoite. Infection by sexually homosexual. It rare occasion transfers through the rectum or sometimes by the proctitis. Excistation in lower region of the small intestine occurs as a metacyst, and these metacysts divide into the 8 small amoebulae. These trophozoites enter the large intestine, invade the host tissue, lining in the lumen of the large intestine, and cyst and non-invasive trophozoites. These are again Cyst can survive in the external environment for a long time. Only cyst cause the infection, and trophozoite has no infectivity in immature cyst may mature in external environment and become infective. If we will talk about the epidemiology, prevalence of amoebic infection varies with level of sanitization and generally the higher in tropics and subtropics than in temperate climate. It is worldwide. Cyst passers are important source of infections. Passengers can be there. The true estimated prevalence of Entamoeba histolytica is close to 1% worldwide. These Entamoeba histolytica is the second leading cause of the mortality due to the parasitic disease. The first leading cause is malaria. Now, how the transmissions occur? There is a direct transmission, contact of person to person by fecal. There can be venereal transmission among homosexual males, oral anal. There can be food and drink contaminated with the feces containing the Entamoeba histolytica cyst. The fourth one, use of the human feces, night soil for the soil fertilizer is also the source of infection. And next one is the contamination of food stuff by fleas, possibly the cockroaches. What is the pathogenesis? What happened? Effective factors which affect the pathogenesis are the strain virulence, susceptibility of the host, and breakdown of immunological barrier. So what happened in pathology is secreting amoeba after going inside the intestine, what it causes. It is secreting the proteolytic enzyme which is called the histolysine and cytotoxic substances. When it come in contact, there is a dependent cell killing. Then cytophagocytosis happened and amoeba killing the target cell. How? First, by the receptor-mediated adherence of amoeba to the target cell, then amoebic cytolysis of the target cell by the proteolytic enzyme. Then there is a amoebic phagocytosis of the killed target cell. This happens in clinical signs and symptoms. If we'll see, most of the time there is an infection which is asymptomatic, but when it symptomatic, it is of two type: intestinal amoebiasis and extraintestinal amoebiasis. In intestinal amoebiasis, it is causing the dysentery and non-dysenteric colitis, which is only the heaviness in the lower abdomen. In extraintestinal amoebiasis, there is a three type of complications happen: hepatic, where liver abscess produced, pulmonary, and extrafoci. In hepatic, there is a liver abscess and acute non-suppurative abscess is also there, which is non-suppurative. There is no abscess inside the. There is a only pain in right hypochondrium. Intestinal amoebiasis have symptoms like diarrhea, dysentery, abdominal pain, cramping, anorexia, weight loss, and chronic fatigue. See, uh, after going here, there is a what you are seeing. These are the invasive erosions done by the amoeba. This lymph is drained by the portal venous circulation and goes into the liver. From the liver abscess, it is spread in the pulmonary areas, and sometimes it goes also in the brain. So these are the extrahepatic. And if we will see the cut section of the intestinal lumen of the erosions done by the amoeba. There is a flask-like ulcers. Uh, at the upper side there is hole, just very small hole, very small ulcer is there, but in the inside it is a spreading like a flask. So this is also called the flask like ulcer. You can see it is a picture of sigmoidoscopy. You can see these are the ulcers happen there, which is showing the gastritis or colitis, sorry. See, it is again a flask-like ulcer. You can see some pictures through which you are able to understand the things. Now it is a person who is infected with the liver abscess. There is an amoebic abscess inside the liver, and there is a pain. You can see, if the cut section, we will see the pyogenic liver abscess. This is not an abscess. This is a gallbladder. Here it is a gallbladder, a common bile duct here. At this one point, there is an abscess which is looking like a pail, and if we will drain or tap this abscess, there is a And Covey sauce appearance. This white sauce is also called, this is a pus coming out through the liver abscess of the amoeba. This is called the anchovy sauce appearance. Sometimes your examiner will ask that in the liver abscess, which what you will call of that pus. There is a abscess in the liver. Abscess may arise in the liver. There is a seedling of infection from the bowel because infection agents are carried to the liver from the portal venous circulation. It is a lump visible in epigastrium. If your patient will say that there is a again and again diarrhea, a patient is a traveler, he is a truck driver, or having water everywhere, and there is a again pain in the right hypochondrium, severe pain, you can think about the amoebic abscess. So diagnosis is based on the paraclinical diagnosis. Definitely on the sigmoidoscopy, you can see the presence of grossly normal mucosa between the ulcers of the differentiate amoeba from the bacillary dysentery. In the bacillary dysentery, the entire mucosa being involved in bacillary dysentery. There is a hepatomegaly. On the CBC, you can see the leukocytosis and amoebic dysentery rises about 12,000 per microliter, but count may reach 16,000 to 20,000 per microliter. So, Entamoeba histolytica may be differentiated. There is a differential diagnosis definitely with the other protozoa, like other species of Entamoeba, and also with the Escherichia coli. Differentiation is possible but not always easy based on morphological characteristics of the cyst and trophozoites. The non-pathogenic Entamoeba dispar, however, is morphologically identical to the Entamoeba histolytica, and differentiation may be based on isoenzymatic and immunological analysis. Molecular methods are also useful in distinguishing between histolytica and dispar. Microscopic identification is also established. There is a fresh stool, wet mount, permanently stained preparations are there. Concentrate from fresh stool, wet mount, with or without ideal state, permanently stained preparations. On these, if we will make the slide, we can see the trophozoite and cystic stages are there. These are the ingested erythrocytes appear on dark inclusions. You can see. These are again the trophozoite and cystic forms of Entamoeba histolytica. Immunodiagnosis are also possible by antibody detection, antigen detection, and there are some other techniques like ELISA and IHA, indirect hemagglutination. Intestinal amoeba can be detected by the fecal examination, fresh specimen 3 times, red cells in parasite, and Charcot-Leyden cyst or eosinophilia is also there. Extraintestinal amoebiasis by the serological examination, gel diffusion, indirect hemagglutination, latex agglutination, fluorescent antibody test, ELISA, and counter-immune electrophoresis. All these examination I will let you know during when I will teach you the immunology. Radiological examination, you can see the ulcerative colitis, pleuritis, and ultrasound. On ultrasound, you can also see the liver abscess. Culture assay is also possible, and sigmoidoscopy definitely helpful. In treatment, in asymptomatic amoebiasis, there are some drug, and in symptomatic amoebiasis, there are again idoquinol 3 times a day and metronidazole, through which it is very sensitive. Extra treatment is broad spectrum antibiotics, and definitely last but not the least, prevention and control is very much necessary. There should be a food hygiene, fly control, sewage disposal, proper water supply, identification and treatment of carriers, and chlorination of water. So I hope you understand this video. You will please try to read your KD Chatterjee book. If you have any query, mention it in comment box. I will try to resolve it. And there will be a session after some time, which is a problem solving session. It will be provided by the university through at that day. I will solve your queries. Thank you so much. Bye bye. Take care.